The Chevy Silverado ZR2 is a dedicated off-road trim of the half-ton truck. This has the extra meaty 6.2 liter V8 engine. There's upgraded dampers and a 2-inch lift, all-terrain tires, big skid plates, 4-wheel drive, and the lockers. But will you want to drive it for the in-between, for what you'll be using this vehicle for, which is going to work and then doing errands? That's what I'm here to find out. Does this Chevy Silverado ZR2 actually make for a good daily driver? What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Shifting Lanes. My name is Hanson, and for this video, I want to give you my personal ratings on 5 different categories for this ZR2. I want to talk about the exterior, interior, the technology, the power, and the driving experience so that you have a better idea before you buy. So if you want to jump to any of those sections, check out the chapters down below. Let's get this review started with the outside first. This Chevy Silverado ZR2 can only be found as a crew cab with a short bed. This paint is called Red Hot, and it has the gloss black 18-inch wheel option. What you see in front of you costs $77,400 with delivery, so it's already a little more expensive than the cheapest Ford F-150 Raptor. Visually, this ZR2 looks like it was built to look messy. There's not a spot of chrome aside from the badging. Everything is blacked out, ranging from the grille insert, the door handles, window trims, the raised hood, and the matte black over fenders. The ZR2 has a unique front bumper that's been cut so it can have a better approach angle. The steel front and rear bumpers are designed for off-road use, and the red recovery hooks are nice giveaways that this is the performance-oriented version. Now, if you have another $7,900 to spare, you can get the Bison edition of the ZR2, which will give you exclusive wheels, stamped steel front and rear bumpers with built-in recovery points, and also various skid plates protecting the critical elements. As for the extras, this tester comes equipped with the multi-flex tailgate option, hard folding tonneau cover, and also the rocker protectors. So I'll give the exterior of this ZR2 a rating of 8 out of 10 because this is one good-looking purpose-built truck. Inside the Silverado ZR2, it pretty much looks like every other well-equipped Silverado. The interior is called jet black with gray stone, and this is the only interior option. The seats are perforated leather, and they're both heated and ventilated. The seat back is also heated, and the steering wheel as well. The infotainment screen is a 13.4-inch touchscreen, and I love how all of the critical functions, like the volume control dial, your parking sensors, auto start stop, and your lockers are physical tactile buttons. Same goes for your climate control features. All of the buttons are sized and spaced out nicely. As for the transmission tunnel, the only feature in here is your gear selector for your 10-speed automatic transmission. Everything else is just your cup holders and a couple of storage solutions. Personally, I like the previous generation Silverado because the gear selector was mounted on the column, because then you wouldn't have this thing sticking out of the transmission tunnel. So this could be another flat work surface, so you could put your laptop, your paperwork, or even your lunch bag on top of here. If you need to store various large things, there's a big armrest that you could store big things in. And there's also a secondary glove box that flips up. When it comes to the driver perspective, the 12.3-inch digital cluster looks great, and you can customize the displays and the gauges to show different styles and information. The steering wheel is a pretty good design. The buttons and dials are nice, and they have good tactile feedback. The heated steering wheel button is on the steering wheel itself, which is great. And I also like the paddle shifters and the additional stereo controls behind the steering wheel. And finally, on the left side, you'll find your drive mode, parking brake, and headlight controls. As for the back seats, the crew cab layout has a lot of legroom at 43.4 inches, and the bench seat can flip up so you can store extra large things in the second row. So I'll give the interior of the Silverado ZR2 a rating of 7 out of 10 because this is a very functional interior, but it could have been better with maybe more interior color options, maybe a better placement of the gear shifter on the steering column, and maybe some more ZR2 badges. I'm not really a big badge person, but you can't really tell that you're sitting in a ZR2 in here. So maybe something small like the ZR2 badge stitching on the headrest would suffice. Now, when it comes to the technology, the Silverado ZR2 feels like a proper daily driver because there's a lot of convenience and safety tech in this truck. Starting with the infotainment system, this has the Google built in, and it's displayed on this beautiful 13.4-inch touchscreen. The menu system works well and it's laid out logically. And since there's a lot of screen real estate in here, I like that you could show your music and also your navigation at the same time. This ZR2 has a 360-degree camera system, so you can pull that up anytime by pressing on the camera button. This is very useful for when parking this thing. The 2-inch lift of the ZR2 does reduce your visibility around corners to an extent, and this tool gives you a very clear overhead view. The big feature of this infotainment system is the Google built-in. So this has Google Assistant, has the Google Play Store. So this will continually update itself for better security features or any additional functionality as long as the truck can support it. The other benefit of having over-the-air connectivity is that any recall information, you could see what it entails right on the screen. And if you're not into the whole Google built-in thing, you can use Apple CarPlay in here, and I love how you can have the wireless version of it. For the other tech features, if you check under the armrest, there's a slot where you can wirelessly charge your phone. And if you want to plug in traditionally, there are 6 USB ports. There's a USB Type A and a USB Type C at the front. There's 2 more in the center armrest and 2 more at the back seat. This Silverado ZR2 also has a heads-up display, and I love how you can show the pitch and roll gauges on that display. It's very large and legible, so when you're off-roading, you can keep your eyes forward and focus on your tire placement. When it comes to the safety tech, this ZR2 comes pretty well equipped. It has your blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert and braking. This can also detect pedestrians and can actively brake as well. And there's also adaptive cruise control and lane keeping features. So if you plan on using this as your commuter or for long road trips, those features will make your life a little bit easier. So for the technology, I'll give the Silverado ZR2 a rating of 9 out of 10. The amount of convenience and safety tech found in this truck are great, and you'll be glad to have them if this would be your daily driver. But it's not like you have to get the ZR2 trim to get all of these technology features. You can get it in the cheaper trims of the Silverado. Now let's talk about the power. The Silverado as a whole has 4 different engine options. It starts with a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder turbo, then there's the 3-liter turbo diesel, and then there's a 5.3 liter V8, and then this 6.2 liter V8. The ZR2 only comes with the bigger 6.2 liter V8, and it makes a stout 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. And that should be able to do a tire chirping 0 to 60 mile per hour run in less than 6 seconds. Now this type of power feels very sufficient for the ZR2. There's a nice grunt when you step on it, and when you toggle for low, you'll be glad to have all of that torque at your disposal. And when it comes to towing, you should be able to tow up to 8,900 pounds with a traditional trailer hitch. Attached to the engine is a 10-speed automatic transmission, and it shifts very smoothly and pretty quickly. If you want to use the paddle shifters, you could do so when you toggle to low gear. As for fuel efficiency, this truck is rated to go 14 miles to the gallon in the city, 17 miles on the highway, and 15 miles per gallon combined. That's not bad, but it's also not great either for a truck of this size with a V8. And what makes things a little bit worse, this is a high compression engine, so you're gonna need premium fuel. 93 octane is recommended. So for power, I'll give the ZR2 a rating of 7 out of 10. I'm glad the 6.2 liter engine is available for the higher power output, but I just wish it makes a bit more power so it can at least match what the twin-turbo V6 Ford F-150 Raptor can do. And it would have been better if there was a unique higher output motor just for the ZR2 trim to make this trim even more enticing rather than just having a series of suspension upgrades. When it comes to the driving experience, the Silverado ZR2 feels like a truck that you could drive every day. Yes, this is built for off-roading. It has all of the right stuff like the Multimatic dampers. So instead of the traditional shims that you find in dampers, this has a spool valve which has a spring assembly inside, which means that the engineers are able to finely tune the compression and rebound rates of the dampers. And since this has different springs and suspension geometry to maximize that suspension travel, while this is great for high-speed off-roading stuff, this is also really comfortable for on-road use. And the ride quality of the ZR2 isn't so bad because of it. Yes, you still get a lot of noise from the all-terrain tires, and running over bumps and potholes can feel more unsettling due to the higher ride height, but generally speaking, this is a pretty damn comfortable truck. Handling wise, it's going to drive like a pickup truck. The steering damping is a little on the heavier side, and there's not a lot of good feedback between the road and what you're feeling on the wheel. It feels a bit vague as you float between the lanes, but this is very par for the course. And getting around town is very manageable because even though this is still a very big truck, it's not as wide as a Ford F-150 Raptor or even the wider Ram TRX. The 360-degree camera view makes parking in really tight spaces much easier as there's no guessing games with it. Now for daily driving purposes, you won't need these lockers at all, but when you're in off-road situations, these things can get you out of a rut pretty easily. So for driving experience, I'll give this an 8 out of 10 because this is a truck that's comfortable to own and drive around town. And it's still very capable off-road. So overall, I'll give this Chevy Silverado ZR2 a rating of 7.8 out of 10. This is a great truck and I'd be happy if I daily drove this thing. The price is steep though, and if all you used it for is to do commutes and errands, you can get by with something much cheaper. And if your budget is somewhere around $80,000 for a truck, then your selection is pretty far and wide. And the Ford F-150 Raptor might make a bit more sense in this situation. Let me know your thoughts. If you've learned something from this video, please consider hitting that like, subscribe, and that notification bell so that you can be notified anytime I make a new video. Let's wrap up the review video right there. My name's Hanson. This has been the 2023 Chevy Silverado ZR2, and I'll see you in the next one.